Aloha. My name is Casey Rita with the U.S. Geological Survey in Honolulu, Hawaii. The intent of this primer is to show how to extend ratings and how to apply rating dates in GRSAT. This will also allow us to demonstrate such tools as cloning ratings and rating overlays. First, we need to get some data to work with. Normally, we would retrieve from database, but for this tutorial, we will use from file and use a file that's already been created. To view the data, click Read Data. If we had pulled the data from the database, all the ratings associated with this site would be listed. Those outside the parameters we chose would be listed in gray, and those within the parameters would be given in white. Lastly, you will notice in the Overview pane that if we select a rating period, the measurements associated with that period will identify themselves. We need to extend this rating up to these new measurements. In the real world, we would have some survey data or other info to help guide us, but for this tutorial, we're just going to use the measurements we have. As you can see, rating 6 is approved and therefore is not able to be edited in any way. So we have to make a new rating based on rating 6 so that we can edit it to include these new measurements at the higher end. There's two ways to clone a rating in GRSAT. You can use the Setup drop-down menu and clone rating, or you can use this bad button right here. First, we need to give the new rating a unique rating number. Since it's just a straight line extension, we'll call it 6.1 instead of 7.0. The remarks field is a good place to keep important information about this rating. For this tutorial, we'll keep it fun. In our new rating, we can choose to include measurement settings, offsets, and selected shifts associated with rating 6.0. Remember, when you're including the shifts, you have to select them one by one. To finish cloning our rating, click OK. And there we go. Now, we want to overlay the original rating 6.0 so that we can refer to it while extending rating 6.1. There's two ways to do this, with the drop-down menu or the button. Both get you to the same menu. We want to uncheck overlaying the shifted curve. That way we just reference the base curve for 6.0. You can change the color of the line that gets plotted into anything you want. You can choose more colors or one of the standards. Let's go with this rock and blue. You can also change the line type to pretty much anything you want, but let's leave it at micro solid. Now let's overlay the rating, and you see it shows up right there. It goes right over rating 6.0 because right now we haven't changed anything with the rating yet. Now that we overlaid the rating, we get two more choices right here to choose from. We can change the properties if we don't like the colors or if we want to make it a dotted line, or we can simply remove it altogether. Since we just did it for a purpose, we don't want to remove it. Keep in mind the drop-down menu is the same choices as well. Now it's time to extend our rating. Let's go to the rating zoom, and you'll see these choices down here for editing your current rating that you got up now, which is 6.1. We want to extend, so we'll choose the extend rating line tool. You'll notice we have a new rating point now. When you try and move it, you'll see that it only goes in a straight line, because it is just that, a straight line extension tool. You can confirm this by looking at the slope in the rating table and see that the slope will remain constant no matter where you move it or how far you move it. You can also note that when you look in the linear zoom window, rating zoom 2, the straight line extension appears to have a slight curve to it, but as we see in the slope, it does not. You can see that while this tool is active, the rating point is reverse colors from the other points. As soon as you click off of this tool, it becomes a rating point just like the others and can be edited. See it change? If we zoom in, you can see a straight line extension is not really what we want here. You can also see this in the shift diagram, as these top measurements just aren't plotting. It appears as though the upper end of this rating is breaking into an overbank, and the control is different in this area of the rating. We may need a second offset. So let's go to the offset manager. If we select the second offset, we need to give it a break point where we want the second offset to start kicking in. So let's go up to the part of the rating that we're working on. Now we can start to adjust the offset. As you can see, those upper measurements in the shift diagram start moving towards the zero shift line. When we get to an offset of about 8, the measurements start to line up pretty well. So let's view it. We'll select offset 2 because that's what we're working with, and view it so that we can see it. Zoom in a little bit. So now we've extended our rating, our measurements at the upper end plot, we have a second offset, we're stoked on rating 6.1, now we need to give it a start date. That way we can put it into action. Okay, so assigning a rating date. First, let's go to the time series view tab at the bottom. You see this comes up. Let's check out what kind of tools we have in the time series view tab. We can zoom in, we can zoom in, we can zoom in, or we can zoom out, we can zoom back in, we can grab this hand and we can pan across so that we can see different points on the zoomed in curve, or we can go back to where we were. As you can see, the zoom in, zoom out, and the pan buttons allow us to manipulate the view to help us out to accomplish our goal. So let's get to our current period of 2004-2005 that we're actually working with here. There we go, that's better. Also take notice of the bars we have at the bottom here. We have the rating date bar that shows the rating periods. The shift bar shows the shift periods, and the aging bar shows the overall data aging. The color codes match Hydra. Red for working, blue for approved. The color of the shift bar is different though, and that will get covered in the shifts topic. You can also use this size tool to change the size of the graph to whatever fits your needs best. There's also the Show Hide Curves tool. When you click it, it shows you things that you can put in or take off. If you don't want the shifts there, they're gone. You want the shifts back? There they are. You want to get rid of the rating and shift period? They gone. You want them back? There they are. Since we're not really blaming this new rating on a change in control, we could easily just start it at the beginning of our current working period. So to show some of GRSAT's awesome tools, let's say we want to start it during the event, May 2004. Let's go to the rating period manager. We're going to select our new rating by double clicking it. We're going to give it a rating period, and we're going to give it a start date. Let's say May 1st, 2004. We don't want to give it an end date because we want to start this new rating. We don't want to start it and end it at the same time. Let's click apply. As you can see, rating 6 ended 1 second before this new rating starts. Therefore, rating 6 is over and rating 6.1 is in action. So let's select rating 6.1. We'll use this tool, highlight in TS pane, TS, time series, get it? Click that button and it will show you where it takes effect. See it highlight the period that we're using 6.1, the start date to current because it hasn't been turned off. Now let's see how we use the graph down here to fine tune our date for the starting date and ending date of our other ratings. We'll come down to time series view and select the adjust date button. Now you just grab this rating 6.1 and we can scoot it over, but it won't let us go back because we can't overlap ratings. So let's just scoot it forward a little bit. That looks good. Oh, now we got a gap in our ratings. If we zoom in down here in the rating tab, you'll be able to see the gap. See that white? No rating there. You can also see it up here in yellow. Don't get scared, don't be afraid. This is a really easy fix. We can come back down to our rating bar. Now select rating 6.0. Grab the black line and scoot it over. No more rating gap. So that works well, easy enough. But let's see how there's other ways to do that. Up in the rating period manager, there's other tools and different ways to go about exactly what we did down here. We can use these tools at the bottom. If we get rating 6.1 and we put the start date up, we get that same gap. We can bring it back, gap goes away. But let's say we really wanted to start it here. We can go to 6 and do the same thing, just adjust the end time, gap goes away. Gap's back, gap goes away. If adjusting the rating times down here by 15 minutes isn't good enough for you, we can adjust that too. Let's keep it to the 15-minute punches though. If none of those work for you, you can select your rating, click the Properties button, and adjust your dates that way. Or double click on the rating. Same menu comes up as the Properties button. It's important to note though, you can only change rating dates for ratings that are in the working. If they're approved already, you'll see that they're grayed out and there's nothing you can do about it. Also in the Rating Period Manager, if you don't like the rating, you can delete it, but why would we do that? We just worked so hard on getting this thing to plot at the upper end. And lastly, if we haven't found enough ways to fill in rating gaps, this